Ray Hollister's credit card got declined at Luther's Feed and Supply on a Tuesday morning so cold the diesel pump wouldn't turn over without coaxing. The card reader beeped red 3 times, sharp, accusatory, and Luther Fenwick, who'd been extending handshake credit to ranchers since 1972, looked away like he'd caught Ray with his pants down. 2 other men shuffled their boots on the salt-crusted floor. The wind howled through the gap under the loading dock door. Ray's jaw worked. "Put it on my account, Luther." Luther nodded, eyes on the register. "Course, Ray, course." The drive home, Ray's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. 19 degrees out, frost glazing every fence post. He found the bank statement in the mailbox, cream envelope, First Bank logo, and his gut dropped before he even opened it. Kitchen table, reading glasses, fountain pen in hand, the one his father gave him when he made assistant manager in '82. Line by line, he circled the wire transfers. September, October, November, each one $60,000. Total missing $180,000. His hand trembled. The pen leaked a small blue pool on the paper. Celeste's car crunched into the driveway. She came through the door humming, textbooks stacked against her hip, designer handbag, red leather, 2,000 if it was a dime, swinging from her shoulder. She kissed his cheek, smelling of expensive perfume and coffee shop steam. "You look tired, honey." Her fingers brushed his temple. "Memory acting up again?" Ray set the statement down, smoothed it flat with his palm. The paper crinkled under his touch. Cheap stock, the kind banks switched to after the recession. "Celeste, we need to talk about the equity line." She dropped her textbooks on the counter. A post-it note fluttered off. "Study group tonight? Don't wait up." "What about it?" "There's 180,000 missing." She laughed, light, dismissive, the sound she made when he asked why the thermostat was set to 74. "Ray, that's probably just a clerical error. You know how banks are." She opened the fridge, pulled out a yogurt. "Call them tomorrow. They'll fix it." "I worked at First Bank for 40 years. "Exactly." She peeled the foil top, licked it. "So you know, mistakes happen. Don't stress yourself over it." His fountain pen rolled across the table. He caught it before it fell. "These aren't mistakes. They're wire transfers. September 14th, October 9th, November 3rd, 60,000 each time." Celeste's phone buzzed against the granite. The screen lit up. DP Financial. She snatched it, silenced it. Spam. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Honey, I have a study session in an hour. Can we talk about this later?" She left the kitchen before he could answer. Her heels clicked down the hallway, sharp, retreating. The bedroom door closed with a soft thud. Ray sat alone. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the kitchen window in its frame. He could smell the yogurt she'd left open on the counter, the sour-sweet tang mixing with the burnt coffee he'd made at 5 that morning, and forgotten to turn off. Dawn came at 6:15, the sky still purple-black. Ray pulled on his Carhartt, the canvas stiff with cold, and walked the fence line like he'd done every morning since his father died in '91. Frost coated the barbed wire, the gate latch his grandfather installed in 1947. He pulled the WD-40 from his coat pocket, sprayed the hinge. The metal groaned, then gave. The smell of oil and rust, familiar, grounding. He stood there a moment, breath fogging, and pulled out his phone. Marlon answered on the second ring. "Little early, even for you. I need your help." His brother's voice sharpened. "What happened?" Ray told him. The equity line, the wire transfers, Celeste's dismissal. When he finished, Marlon was quiet for a long beat. Ray could hear him breathing, the clink of a spoon against ceramic. His morning tea ritual, Earl Grey with honey, same as their mother used to make. "Give me 48 hours, Marlon said finally. "I need account numbers, routing codes, everything you've got. I'll scan the statements." "Ray," Marlon's voice gentled. "How long you been married to her?" 3 years, 4 in August. "And you trust her?" Ray watched a crow land on the fence post, shake ice from its wings. "I did." "That's past tense." "Yeah," Marlon sighed. "I'll call you Friday. Don't confront her yet. Not till we know what we're dealing with." Ray hung up, walked another 50 yards along the fence, checking for breaks, loose staples, anything the cattle could exploit. That's when he saw them. Fresh survey stakes, orange flagging tape snapping in the wind. 4 of them running along his southern boundary. He counted them twice. Developers. Back at the house, Celeste was gone. A note on the counter, at campus library all day. MBA project due Monday. Don't wait up. See, Ray reread it 3 times. The handwriting was hers, looping, efficient, the way she signed birthday cards to people she barely knew. He folded the note, slipped it into his shirt pocket. He made himself a sandwich, ham and cheese, day-old bread, ate it standing at the window, looking out over 40 acres of winter brown grass and cattle that needed feeding. His phone buzzed. Marlon, texting. Start documenting everything. Receipts, statements, texts, everything. Trust me on this. Ray typed back. Already am. He opened his laptop at the kitchen table, the same table where he and Margaret used to do taxes, where she'd sit with her recipe box and plan Sunday dinners for the church potluck. He typed into Google, unauthorized refinance fraud elderly. The results loaded. Article after article. Elder financial abuse, red flags, forged signatures, power of attorney scams. His chest tightened. Outside, gravel crunched. Celeste's Lexus, leased he'd learned later, though she told him it was a graduation gift from her parents, pulled into the driveway 3 hours earlier than expected. Ray closed the laptop. She came through the door fast, face flushed, keys jangling. She stopped when she saw him. You're still up? It's 2 in the afternoon, Celeste. Right. She set her purse down, slower now. I thought you'd be out checking cattle. I did that at dawn. She nodded, opened the fridge, stared into it like the answer to something was hidden behind the milk. Finally, did you call the bank? Not yet. You should, before you give yourself a heart attack over nothing. She grabbed a water bottle, closed the fridge, started toward the bedroom. Celeste. She turned. Who's DP Financial? Her face went very still. What? The contact. On your phone. This morning. I don't... She blinked. Oh, that's my financial advisor. For the MBA fund. Dad set it up. Your dad died 6 years ago. A beat. Then... I meant my stepdad. You know what I meant. She disappeared into the bedroom. The lock clicked. Friday came with freezing rain. Ray heard the Subaru before he saw it. Marlon's 008 Outback with a bad catalytic converter, coughing up the gravel drive. His brother climbed out carrying a red accordion folder, the same one he'd used for estate closings back when he still practiced law. The folder was swollen, rubber band barely holding it shut. They sat at the kitchen table. Marlon opened the folder like a surgeon prepping instruments. Papers fanned out, county records, bank statements, photocopies stamped with clerk seals. The smell of old paper and toner ink filled the room. Refinance was filed November 3rd, Marlon said. He slid a document across the table. Took out $180,000 against the property, equity line of credit, 30-year term. Ray's finger traced the signature line, his name, but the loops were wrong. The capital H in Hollister leaned too far left. That's not my signature. I know. She forged it. Marlon pulled another sheet. Funds were wired to an LLC, Pierce Financial Advisors, registered agent, Donovan Pierce. He tapped the address. P.O. Box in Bozeman, opened in September 15th, dissolved January 4th. This year? 2 weeks ago. Ray sat back. The chair creaked under him. Outside, ice pellets ticked against the window like someone tapping to get in. Why would she do this? Marlon's jaw worked. He poured himself water from the pitcher on the table, drank half the glass. Ray, the signature's not quite yours. A handwriting expert would catch it in 30 seconds. In the statute of limitations... He stopped, started again. We've got about 6 months before the window closes on fraud charges. After that, it's just civil court. Harder to prove, harder to win. You're saying we need to move fast. I'm saying she's been planning this for at least 4 months, maybe longer. Ray looked at the papers spread across the table. 40 years at First Bank, he'd seen this before. Wives cleaning out joint accounts, husbands transferring assets to shell companies. Always the same pattern. Set up the exit, drain the funds, file for divorce when the money's safe. He'd counseled customers through it, helped them freeze accounts, recommended attorneys. He'd never thought he'd be the mark. There's more. Marlon pulled his phone, opened a text thread. Got a call yesterday. Jody Hayes owns that coffee place on Main. I know Jody. Gave her the startup loan when First Bank turned her down. She wants to talk to you, says it's important. Marlon stood, zipped his coat. I told her you'd meet her this afternoon, 3 o'clock. Pinewood coffee and feed smelled like cinnamon rolls and fresh ground espresso. The building used to be a grain mill, exposed brick, timber beams across the ceiling, Community bulletin board layered 10 deep with flyers for yoga classes and missing cats. Jody was wiping down the counter when Ray walked in. She looked up and something crossed her face. Relief, maybe, or guilt. "Ray," she set the rag down. "Thanks for coming." The place was empty except for a college kid in the corner, headphones on, laptop open. Jody poured 2 coffees without asking, carried them to a table by the window. Sleet streaked the glass. She sat across from him, hands wrapped around her mug. "I don't know how to say this." "Just say it." She pulled a napkin from her apron pocket, unfolded it. Blue ink, hurried handwriting. "3 weeks ago, your wife came in with a man, tall, maybe late 30s, Bluetooth headset. They sat right there." She pointed to a corner booth. "I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but the espresso machine was down, and it was quiet, and—" She slid the napkin across. "I wrote down what I could remember." Ray read it. The words blurred, then sharpened. June graduation, July filing. He won't fight. Too old, too tired. His throat closed. Jody reached into her other pocket, pulled out a folded paper. She used the printer, forgot to log out of her email. "I found this in the tray after she left." Ray unfolded it. The header read, "Pierce Financial Advisors, Client Agreement." The body was an email. "Celeste to someone named DP. Once MBA is done, divorce. Ranch appraisal is $850K. 50% split equals $425K for me. You get 20% referral fee, $85K for the financial consulting. He's too comfortable to question anything. This'll be clean." Ray read it twice, then a third time. Jody's voice was small. "I'm sorry." He folded the paper, slipped it into his coat pocket, picked up his coffee, took a sip. It was too hot, burned his tongue. He set it down. "You kept this for 3 weeks. I didn't know if it was my place. You did the right thing." She looked at her hands. "Ray, you gave me $10,000 when I had nothing. Single mom, no credit, every bank in town said no. You didn't even blink." Her voice cracked. "So yeah, I kept it, because you deserve to know." Ray's phone buzzed. "Marlon. Statute clock started when she filed. 6 months to act or we lose leverage. Call me." He stood, left a 20 on the table, though the coffee was free. "Ray," Jody said, what are you going to do?" He looked out the window. The sleet had turned to snow, small flakes swirling in the streetlight. "I'm going to count." Marlon came back Sunday with Grace Pemberton. Ray hadn't seen Grace in 2 years, not since Margaret's memorial service, when Grace stood at the grave and didn't cry, just squeezed Ray's hand so hard his knuckles went white. She was a realtor, had been for 30 years, knew every deed and lien in the county like some people knew scripture. She set a manila folder on Ray's kitchen table, right next to Marlon's red accordion file. The folder was thin. Inside, property comps, appraisal documents, a handwritten list of recent sales. "Your place appraises at $850,000, Grace said. She poured herself tea from the kettle Marlon had set to boil, the whistle still echoing in Ray's ears. 40 acres, house, barn, water rights. I ran the comps twice." Ray nodded. He'd known the number, roughly. Land values had climbed since the tech money started creeping into the valley. "Here's the part you need to hear." Grace pulled another sheet, this one a photocopy of an LLC filing. "Pierce Financial Advisors contacted me in November, wanted a quiet appraisal, cash offer, quick close. I told them the property wasn't listed." "They used the same LLC," Marlon said. Grace tapped the paper. $1.2 million, offered 20% over appraisal if you'd agree to a 30-day close. Ray's chest tightened. "I never heard about this." "Because Celeste was the one negotiating." Grace's voice went flat. "She called me back 2 days later, said you were thinking about selling, moving somewhere warmer, asked if I'd write up a listing agreement. I told her I needed to talk to you first. She said you'd call me when you were ready." Grace looked at him. "You never called." The kitchen went quiet. Outside, a cow bawled, low and long. Ray could hear the furnace clicking on, warm air pushing through the vents. He smelled the Earl Grey Marlon was drinking, bergamot and honey, the same blend their mother used to make on Sunday mornings after church. Marlon spread his hands flat on the table. "Ray, she was setting up the exit. Refinance the property, drain the equity, sell the land, take half the sale price plus the stolen equity. You'd be left with nothing, not even the ranch." Grace reached into her purse, pulled out a yellowed envelope. The paper was soft, almost cloth-like, the kind that doesn't tear easy. She slid it across the table. Margaret gave me this in '98, made me promise I'd keep it safe. Ray opened it. Inside, a handwritten deed transfer. Margaret's signature at the bottom, notarized, dated March 14th, 1998, the year she was diagnosed. The deed transferred her half of the property to Ray, sole ownership, no encumbrances. His eyes blurred. He touched the signature, the way Margaret always looped her M, the little flourish at the end she'd learned from her grandmother. She wanted you protected, Grace said softly. Said if anything happened to her, you'd need to prove the ranch was yours, free and clear. Marlon leaned forward. This proves you owned the property outright before you married Celeste. Refinancing it without your real signature, that's fraud, Ray. Criminal fraud. Ray folded the deed, slipped it back in the envelope. His hands were steady now. 40 years of counting other people's money, balancing ledgers, catching errors in loan applications, all of it sharpening into something cold and precise. What do I do? First, Marlon said, we freeze the accounts. Joint credit card, equity line, anything she has access to. You call First Bank Monday morning, report suspected fraud. They'll lock it down in an hour. And then? Then we file. Monday, Ray called First Bank at 9 a.m., right when they opened. He used the landline, the old rotary phone Margaret had insisted on keeping even after everyone switched to cordless. The dial clicked with each number, slow and deliberate. The manager, Sharon, who'd worked under Ray back in the 90s, put him on speakerphone, cited fraud protocols, froze the equity line and the joint visa. Ray, I'm sorry, if I'd known. You didn't know. It's fine. Do you need anything else? No. Thank you, Sharon. He hung up, stood in the kitchen looking out at the cattle spread across the winter field, their breath steaming in the cold. Celeste came through the door at 10:30, arms full of textbooks and a laptop bag. She stopped when she saw him. Why aren't you out feeding? Fed at dawn. She set her things on the counter, opened the fridge, pulled out a yogurt, started peeling the foil. I froze the accounts, Ray said. The foil tore. Yogurt splattered on the counter, white against granite. What? The equity line, the credit card, called the bank this morning, suspected fraud. Her face went pale, then red. You can't do that. Already did. She slammed the yogurt down. You have no right. I have every right. It's my property, my credit. My name, you forged. She opened her mouth, closed it. Her hands shook as she grabbed her keys from the counter. You're going to regret this. She was out the door before he could answer. Tires spun on the icy drive, fishtailed, then caught. Gravel sprayed against the porch. The sound faded down the road. Ray stood at the window, watched the cattle move slowly across the field, their dark shapes against white snow. His phone buzzed. Marlon, how'd it go? Ray typed back. She's rattled. 3 dots appeared, then, good, that means we're winning. Celeste came back Wednesday with a lawyer. Ray was in the barn, mucking stalls, when he heard the car doors slam, 2 of them, synchronized. He set the pitchfork against the wall, pulled off his gloves, walked out into the cold. A man in a charcoal suit stood beside Celeste on the porch, mid-40s, silver at the temples, leather briefcase that probably cost more than Ray's truck. He extended his hand. Mr. Hollister, Gerald Voss, I represent your wife. Ray didn't take the hand. What do you want? Voss pulled a manila envelope from his briefcase, handed it over. We're hoping to resolve this amicably. Mrs. Hollister is concerned about your recent behavior. Freezing accounts without discussion, making unilateral financial decisions. She's worried about your well-being. Ray opened the envelope. 3 documents inside. The first was a medical power of attorney, dated August of last year. His signature at the bottom, or something that looked like his signature, same wrong slant to the H he'd seen on the refinance papers. The second document was a letter from Dr. Paulson at Valley Medical. Patient exhibits age-appropriate memory lapses. Recommend cognitive evaluation and family oversight of financial decisions. The third was a petition for conservatorship. Ray read them twice. His hands didn't shake. He looked up at Voss, then at Celeste. She wouldn't meet his eyes. I never signed this, Ray said. Mr. Hollister, I understand this is difficult. I never signed this power of attorney, and I've never had memory problems. Celeste finally spoke, her voice small. Ray, you forgot my birthday last month. You left the stove on 3 times in December. You asked me the same question twice in one conversation. I didn't forget your birthday. It's May 7th. I left the stove on once, the morning after you told me you wanted a divorce. I never said divorce. And I don't repeat myself unless the person I'm talking to doesn't answer the first time. Voss held up a hand. Mr. Hollister, Dr. Paulson's assessment is clear. Combined with your recent erratic behavior, the account freezing, the paranoid accusations, Mrs. Hollister has legitimate concerns. This can be handled quietly, or it can be handled publicly. Your choice. Ray folded the papers, slid them back in the envelope. Get off my property. Voss's expression didn't change. We'll file the petition tomorrow. I'd advise you to retain counsel. They left. Ray stood on the porch until their car disappeared down the drive, then pulled out his phone. Marlon answered before the first ring finished. What happened? Ray told him, every word. When he finished, Marlon was quiet for 10 seconds. Then, Ray, did you sign that power of attorney? No. You're sure? I've never seen it before today. Another pause. Then she committed a felony. Thursday morning, March 23rd, Ray drove to the county courthouse with Marlon. The building was 1920s limestone, marble steps worn smooth by a century of boots and briefcases. Inside, the rotunda echoed with footsteps and low voices. They took a number at the clerk's window, waited on a wooden bench polished to a shine. When their number lit up, Marlon carried the red accordion folder to the window. It thudded on the counter, heavy, final. The clerk, a woman in her 60s with reading glasses on a beaded chain, looked at the folder, then at Marlon. Separation papers, Marlon said. Fraud complaint, restraining order. She took the papers, stamped them one by one. The sound cracked through the rotunda like a judge's gavel. Ray watched her work, methodical, practiced. She slid a copy back across the counter. You'll be notified of the hearing date within 10 days. They turned to leave. Celeste was standing at the top of the marble steps. She must have been waiting, must have known, somehow, that they'd come. Her face was pale, eyes red-rimmed. When she saw Ray, something in her broke. You bastard, her voice echoed off the stone. You selfish, vindictive bastard. People in the rotunda stopped. A security guard near the metal detectors turned, hand moving toward his radio. Ray kept walking. Marlon beside him, steady. Celeste followed them onto the steps. I gave up everything for you. 3 years. 3 years I've been stuck on that ranch in the middle of nowhere, playing housewife to a man who paid for your MBA, Ray said quietly. He stopped, turned. Who paid your car lease? Who gave you everything you asked for? You paid because that's all you know how to do. Write checks. You think that's love? Her voice cracked. I sacrificed my career, my future to be with you, and now you're punishing me for wanting more, for not being your servant? A small crowd had gathered at the top of the steps. Ray could feel their eyes. You forged my signature, Ray said. Stole $180,000. Planned to divorce me and take half of everything my family built. I never... She stopped, started again. I wanted to better myself. I wanted a life that wasn't just cattle and fence repairs and your dead wife's ghost in every room. She was shaking now, hands clenched. You were never going to let me be anything, so yes, I made plans. I protected myself. That's not a crime. Fraud is. Celeste's lawyer appeared from a side entrance, moved toward her. Mrs. Hollister, don't say anything else. But she wasn't listening. She turned to the crowd, voice rising. This is elder abuse. His family is manipulating him, turning him against me so they can keep the property. He's not competent to make these decisions. Ask his doctor. The security guard's radio crackled. A second guard started up the steps. Marlon handed Ray a paper, the counter motion just delivered. Ray read the header. Petition for emergency conservatorship, elder abuse, and family coercion. The cold March rain started. Light at first, then heavier. Celeste stood on the marble steps, mascara running, suit soaked, still talking to anyone who would listen. The guards closed in, gentle but firm. One of them said something Ray couldn't hear. Celeste looked at Ray one last time. You're going to die alone, she said, just like you deserve. The guards escorted her inside. Ray sat in his truck in the courthouse parking lot, rain drumming on the roof. Marlon was beside him, red folder on his lap, water dripping from his coat onto the seat. She filed for conservatorship, Ray said. I saw. Can she win? Marlon was quiet. He pulled off his glasses, wiped them on his shirt. If Dr. Paulson testifies, if she can prove you're incompetent, maybe. But Ray, that power of attorney is forged. I'd bet my law license on it, and once we prove that, the whole thing falls apart. She's telling people I'm senile. Let her. We'll prove otherwise. Marlon put his glasses back on. Judge will order a cognitive eval. You'll pass. And when you do, her credibility's shot. Ray watched the rain sheet across the windshield. The whole town had seen her meltdown. By dinner time, everyone would know. The story would spread through Pinewood like a grass fire. Celeste Hollister screaming on the courthouse steps, accusing her husband of abuse while he stood there calm as Sunday morning. His phone buzzed, a text from a number he didn't recognize. This is Sharon from First Bank. County recorder just flagged your property. Someone tried to file a lien this morning. We blocked it per the fraud alert. Thought you should know. Ray showed Marlon. She's desperate, Marlon said. Desperate people make mistakes. Ray started the engine. The heater kicked on, blowing stale air that smelled like old coffee and wet wool. What's our next move? We wait for the hearing, and Ray, Marlon turned to face him. You need to be ready. She's going to fight dirty. She's going to bring up Margaret, your age, every mistake you've ever made. You need to stay calm. Let the facts speak. Ray put the truck in reverse. I've been calm for 40 years. I can do 40 more minutes. Friday morning, Ray drove back to Luther's Feed and Supply. The sky was overcast, low clouds the color of dirty wool, but the temperature had climbed to 38. The frost was losing its grip, mud season coming. Luther was behind the counter, sorting invoices when Ray walked in. The old man looked up and something passed across his face. Shame, maybe, or relief? Ray set $500 bills on the counter. Handshake credit, Ray said. From Tuesday, with interest. Luther pushed the bills back. Ray, you don't owe interest on handshake credit. You know that. Then call it a thank you for 40 years of fair dealing. Luther looked at the money, looked at Ray, finally took 4 of the bills, left 1 on the counter. That's fair dealing. This, he tapped the remaining 100, is charity, and I don't take charity. Ray picked up the bill, folded it, put it back in his wallet. Appreciate it, Luther. Ray, Luther's voice dropped. The store was empty except for them, but he glanced at the door anyway. I need to tell you something. Ray waited. Luther pulled a spiral notebook from under the counter. Green cover, water-stained, the kind contractors used for job notes. He opened it, flipped through pages covered in tight handwriting. I keep track of things. Who comes and goes, deliveries, regular customers. Just habit, I guess. He found a page, turned the notebook so Ray could see. November 3rd, 2:14 p.m., Celeste's car was parked outside the courthouse for 90 minutes. Ray looked at the entry. The date matched the refinance filing. December 8th. Luther flipped forward. Coffee shop. Celeste and a man I didn't recognize. Tall guy. Bluetooth headset. They were there for an hour. Donovan Pierce. Don't know his name, but I wrote down his license plate. Luther pointed. Montana tags. Partial number. Why'd you write this down? Luther closed the notebook. His hands were liver-spotted, knuckles swollen with arthritis. Because something felt off. The way she looked around before going in places, the way she'd check her phone every 30 seconds. He met Ray's eyes. I didn't say anything because, hell, Ray, I didn't think it was my business, but after Tuesday, after what happened with your card, he slid the notebook across the counter. You might need this. Ray picked it up. The pages were brittle, some entries going back months. He saw his own name scattered throughout. Ray, Cattle Mineral, $87. Ray, Fence Staples, $34. 40 years of transactions recorded in Luther's careful hand. I can't take your notebook. Copy what you need. Bring it back. Ray pulled out his phone, photographed every page with Celeste's name, or the courthouse or the coffee shop. 12 entries total, spanning September to January. When he finished, he handed the notebook back. Luther, if this goes to court, I'll testify. Already made up my mind. Luther's jaw set. You gave me startup capital in '72 when I was 23 years old and didn't know a balance sheet from a hole in the ground. I don't forget things like that. Ray's throat tightened. He nodded, turned to go. Ray. Luther's voice stopped him at the door. Whole town's talking about what happened at the courthouse. People are taking sides. I know. Most of them are on yours. That afternoon, Marlon came by with Grace. They spread documents across Ray's kitchen table. The usual war room setup. Marlon's tea kettle whistled. Grace had brought banana bread, still warm, wrapped in a dish towel. Judge Carver's assigned to the case, Marlon said. He poured 3 mugs of Earl Grey, the bergamot smell cutting through the bread sweetness. She's fair, by the book, doesn't tolerate nonsense. When's the hearing? Ray asked. April 19th. 3 weeks. Marlon pulled out a legal pad, started writing. Here's what we need. First, independent cognitive evaluation. I'm requesting Dr. Mehta from Billings, neuropsychologist, does expert testimony. You'll take a full battery of tests, memory, reasoning, executive function. I'll pass. I know you will, but we need it documented. Marlon moved down his list. Second, forensic accounting. Judge granted the motion yesterday. Celeste has to produce all financial records, bank statements, credit cards, tax returns. She's got 30 days. Grace cut 3 slices of banana bread, slid them onto napkins. She won't produce them. Probably not, which helps us. Marlon bit into the bread, chewed thoughtfully. If she refuses to comply, the judge can draw negative inferences, assume she's hiding something. She is hiding something, Ray said. Pierce Financial Advisors, the LLC, Donovan. About that, Grace pulled a folder from her bag. I did some digging. Donovan Pierce, age 38, registered investment advisor, last known address in Bozeman, except his RIA license was revoked in January. State Securities Board opened an investigation. 12 complaints, suspected Ponzi scheme, $2 million in client funds missing. Ray set down his mug. Celeste gave him $180,000. She didn't give it to him. She stole it from you and gave it to him. Grace tapped the folder. But here's the thing. His business address is a UPS store. Phone number's disconnected. No one's seen him since early January. He's gone, Marlon said. With her money. Your money, Marlon corrected. But yes, which means even if we win, recovering the funds. He shook his head. That's a separate fight. FBI, state investigators. Could take years. Ray looked out the window. The cattle were moving toward the barn, slow and purposeful, sensing the evening feed. The sky was darkening, clouds breaking up, patches of stars visible between the gaps. She can't pay it back, he said quietly. No. So what happens? Marlon exchanged a glance with Grace. Judgment against her, wage garnishment if she gets a job, bankruptcy most likely. And if the criminal charges stick, fraud, forgery, she's looking at prison time. Grace's voice was gentle. Ray, she did this to herself. I know. He picked up his tea, but it had gone cold. He set it down. Doesn't make it feel any better. They sat in silence. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the windows. Not the hard, bitter wind of deep winter. This was different, softer, thawing wind, carrying the smell of wet earth and coming rain. What about the power of attorney? Ray asked. The one she forged. Marlon pulled another document from his folder. Handwriting analysis. I sent both signatures, yours from the deed, hers from the POA, to an expert in Denver. Results came back this morning. He slid the report across. 98% certainty it's a forgery. Different pen pressure, different stroke angles. She tried, but she's not a professional. This kills her conservatorship petition, Grace said. It does more than that. Marlon's voice went flat. It proves felony forgery, which means her credibility in court is zero. Everything she says, every claim she makes, the judge won't believe any of it. Ray read the report twice. The expert's language was technical, clinical, inconsistent baseline characteristics, simulated signature with conscious effort to imitate. Clear indicators of fraud. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. This is Jody. Coffee shop's been getting bad reviews online. All from accounts created this week. I know it's her friends. Just wanted you to know, I'm not backing down. See you in court if they need me. Ray typed back, thank you. I won't forget this. Marlon stood, started gathering papers. Ray, next 3 weeks, you keep your head down. Don't engage with Celeste. Don't respond to social media. Don't talk to anyone except me and Grace. I won't. And start preparing. Judge might ask you questions. About your memory, your decision-making, you need to be ready. Ray walked them to the door. Grace hugged him, quick, fierce. Marlon squeezed his shoulder. When they were gone, Ray stood on the porch. The stars were out now, bright and cold. He could hear the cattle settling in the barn, the soft lowing that meant they were fed and content. His phone buzzed again. Marlon, almost forgot. Bring Luther's notebook to my office Monday. We'll add it to evidence. Ray looked out at his 40 acres. 4 generations of Hollisters had worked this land. His grandfather, who'd installed the gate latch in 1947, his father, who'd taught him to check fence lines at dawn. Margaret, who'd made him promise never to sell. He wasn't going to let Celeste take it. Not without a fight. The Facebook post went up Tuesday morning. Ray's neighbor, Tom Hendricks, showed it to him over the fence while they were both checking water troughs. Tom held out his phone, face apologetic. The post was from Celeste's MBA cohort group, Women in Business Leadership, and it had been shared 217 times. A photo of Celeste, professional headshot, smiling. The text below, "Our classmate is being financially abused by her elderly husband. He's frozen her accounts, filed false legal claims, and is trying to block her education because he can't handle her success. This is what controlling behavior looks like. This is what the patriarchy looks like. If you know Celeste Hollister, please reach out. She needs our support. Financial abuse, shash, elderly, mental health, shash, support, women." The comments were worse. Hundreds of them. Toxic masculinity at its finest. She deserves so much better. Classic abuser behavior, isolate and control. Someone should check on his mental competence. Tom took his phone back. "Thought you should know." Ray nodded. His hands were cold, gripping the fence post. "Appreciate it. For what it's worth, Ray, nobody around here believes it. Some people will. The ones who matter won't." Ray drove into town that afternoon for Cattle Mineral. Stopped at the diner first, the one on Main where he'd eaten breakfast every Saturday for 20 years. The waitress, Helen, 72, had worked there since the Carter administration, brought him coffee without asking. Set it down, squeezed his shoulder, didn't say a word, just squeezed and walked away. 3 other ranchers were at the counter. They nodded when Ray sat down. One of them, Dale Pritchard, turned his stool. "Saw the nonsense online. Don't pay it any mind." "Not planning to." "Good." Dale went back to his eggs. Helen brought Ray the usual: bacon, eggs over easy, wheat toast, left an extra slice of pie on the table, coconut cream. "Forgot to ring it up," she said. "Guess it's free." Ray ate slowly. The diner smelled like coffee and fryer grease and cinnamon. Through the window, he could see the main street, the coffee shop, the feed store. Small town. Everyone knew everyone. Word traveled fast. His phone buzzed. "Marlon. Seen the post?" Ray. "Yeah, Marlon. Don't respond. Let her bury herself." "Wednesday," Jody called. Her voice was tight. "Ray, I need to tell you something." "Go ahead." "Coffee shop's been hit. 23 one-star reviews since Monday. All new accounts, all women. All saying the same thing, that I'm helping an abuser, that I'm complicit, that they'll never come back." She took a breath. "My revenue's down 40% this week." Ray closed his eyes. "Jody, I'm sorry." "Don't be. I'm not backing down." Her voice steadied. "You gave me $10,000 when I had nothing. You didn't ask for collateral. You didn't make me grovel. You believed in me." A pause. "So yeah, they can trash my Yelp page all they want. I know what's true. You shouldn't have to lose business over this." "Ray, I'm not losing business. I'm losing customers who were never really customers. The people who matter, they're still here. They're ordering extra. They're tipping 50%. Her voice cracked. Small towns remember, Ray. They remember who showed up when it mattered. After he hung up, Ray sat at the kitchen table, stared at the refinance papers, the forged signature, the evidence Marlon had stacked and organized like a case file. Outside, the last patches of snow were melting. April coming, mud season in full swing. His phone rang. "Marlon." "Got the forensic accounting results," Marlon said. No preamble. Celeste didn't produce the records. Judge issued a contempt warning. She's got 7 days to comply or face sanctions. "She won't comply." "I know, but here's the interesting part." Papers rustled. "My investigator found Donovan Pierce. Or rather, found where he isn't. His LLC, Pierce Financial Advisors. It's a shell. Registered address is a UPS store in Bozeman. No office, no employees, no actual financial services. A front. Worse. FBI's investigating him for wire fraud. 12 victims so far, maybe more. He set up fake investment accounts, took their money, moved it offshore. Classic Ponzi structure." Marlon paused. "Ray, Celeste gave him $180,000 of your money, and he's gone. Left the country, best we can tell." Ray absorbed this. "So she was scammed?" "She was, but that doesn't change what she did to you. She still forged your signature, still stole your equity, still planned to divorce you and take half the ranch." Marlon's voice softened. She's a victim and a perpetrator. Both things can be true. Does this help us? In court, yes. It shows her judgment was compromised. Shows she was desperate, made bad decisions. Judge might go easier on sentencing. A beat. But Ray, it also means you're never getting that money back. Donovan's in the wind. Even if they catch him, recovering funds from offshore accounts, it takes years. You'll be lucky to see 10 cents on the dollar. Ray looked out the window. The cattle were grazing, spread across the brown grass. Spring would green it up soon, new calves coming. The cycle continued, regardless of human mess. What's our next move? He asked. Jody's giving a deposition Friday, her testimony about the coffee shop conversation. That locks in premeditation. Then we prep you for the hearing, 2 weeks out now. I'm ready. Ray, Marlon's voice was careful. Judge is going to test you, your memory, your cognitive function. Celeste's lawyer will try to rattle you, make you look confused or angry. You need to stay calm, answer clearly, don't elaborate. I spent 40 years explaining loan terms to farmers who could barely read. I can handle a lawyer. Marlon laughed, short and sharp. Yeah, I believe you can. Ray's son showed up on a Thursday. No warning, no call ahead. Just knocked on the door at 7 in the evening, standing on the porch with a duffel bag and a face that looked like Ray's 30 years ago. Sam. Ray's hand went to the doorframe, steadying himself. Dad? They stood there a beat too long. Then Sam stepped forward, and they hugged. Awkward, arms not quite sure where to land, the kind of hug between men who'd forgotten how. Marlon called me, Sam said when they pulled apart, told me what's happening. Ray stepped aside. Sam came in, set his duffel by the couch. The house was quiet except for the furnace and the ticking clock above the stove. Margaret's clock, the one with the carved wooden frame her father made. You didn't have to come, Ray said. Yeah, I did. They sat at the kitchen table. Ray made coffee, the old percolator that took 10 minutes but made the whole house smell right. When it was ready, he poured 2 mugs. Sam took his black, same as Ray. How long's it been? Ray asked. 5 years. Thanksgiving 2020. Ray nodded. He remembered. Sam had brought his wife Lisa and their boy Ethan. Celeste had been cold the whole visit, made comments about the mess, about Ethan tracking mud. Sam and Lisa left early, said they had another stop. They didn't come back. I should have called, Ray said. Should have... Dad, Sam set his mug down. Celeste made it pretty clear we weren't welcome, and you didn't fight for us. His voice wasn't angry, just tired. After Mom died, you met Celeste, and it was like you needed to move on so fast you forgot some of us were still grieving. Ray's throat closed. He looked at his hands, the age spots, the calluses from 40 years of ranch work and fence repair. I failed you. Yeah, I failed your mother's memory. Sam was quiet for a long time. The clock ticked. Outside, a coyote yipped in the distance, high and lonesome. Finally, Mom would have seen through Celeste in 5 minutes. She would have. But you didn't because you were lonely, and Celeste was there, and she told you what you wanted to hear. Sam leaned forward. Dad, I'm not here to punish you. I'm here because Marlon said you're in a fight, and I don't let my father fight alone. Even if we've got history. Ray looked up. Sam's eyes were Margaret's, green, clear, honest. I don't deserve that, Ray said. Probably not, but you're getting it anyway. Friday morning, Marlon came by with his paralegal, a sharp woman named Rita, who'd worked for him since the 90s. They spread documents across the table, the usual war room, but bigger now. Sam sat in, listening, asking questions. Hearing's April 19th, Marlon said. Judge Carver, 9 a.m. He slid a stapled packet across. Here's what to expect. Celeste's lawyer will present the conservatorship petition first. They'll argue you're mentally incompetent, cite Dr. Paulson's letter, maybe call witnesses who'll say you've been forgetful or confused. I haven't been. I know, but they'll try. Marlon tapped the packet. Then we present. Handwriting analysis proving the POA's forged. Dr. Mehta's cognitive eval. You passed with flying colors, by the way. 98th percentile for your age group. What's the test involve? Sam asked. Memory tasks, logic puzzles, verbal reasoning. Your dad recited a 40-item word list after a 30-minute delay. Didn't miss one. Marlon almost smiled. Neuropsychologist said she's never seen results that clean in someone over 60. Sam looked at Ray. You've always had a head for numbers. 40 years at a bank, Ray said. You count long enough, the numbers stick. Marlon pulled another document. Then we bring in witnesses. Jody testifies about the coffee shop conversation, premeditation. Luther testifies about the timeline. His notebook places Celeste at the courthouse the day of the refinance, at the coffee shop with Donovan multiple times. Grace testifies about the attempted sale. The developer offers. He paused. And then we have a wild card. What wild card? Ray asked. The judge might ask you to demonstrate your memory, on the spot, prove you're competent. How? Could be anything. Recite your account history, name your cattle, list every transaction from the last year. Marlon met Ray's eyes. Point is, you need to be ready. If she asks, you can't hesitate, can't stumble. You need to show her that Celeste's claims are complete fiction. Ray thought about the ledgers he kept, the fountain pen records, every purchase and sale and fence repair logged in his neat, slanted handwriting. 40 years of habit, 40 years of precision. I can do that, he said. Marlon slid a worn green notebook across the table. Luther's, the one he'd photographed. We're entering this as evidence. Timeline corroboration. Matches the wire transfers, the refinance date, everything. Sam picked it up, flipped through. This is the feed store owner? 72 years old, Marlon said. Been in business 50 years. Credible witness, no reason to lie. Jury, if it goes that far, will trust him. It won't go to a jury, Rita said. She was organizing folders, color-coded tabs. Criminal fraud, maybe, but the conservatorship. Judge will rule from the bench, especially with the forged signature. Marlon stacked the papers, squared them with a sharp tap against the table. Ray, I want you to practice. Tonight, tomorrow, every day, until the hearing. Go through your finances, memorize dates, amounts, vendors. If Judge Carver asks you to prove your memory, I want you to blow her away. How far back? 18 months. Covers the whole timeline. Before Celeste, during the theft, up to now. Ray nodded. He'd kept every receipt, every statement. It was all in the filing cabinet in the den, organized by month, cross-referenced in his ledgers. One more thing. Marlon's voice dropped. Celeste's lawyer filed a motion this morning. They're claiming you've been emotionally abusive, controlling, that you're weaponizing the legal system to punish her for wanting independence. Sam's jaw tightened. That's garbage. It is, but it's also strategic. They're trying to flip the narrative, make her the victim. Marlon looked at Ray. You need to stay calm in that courtroom, no matter what they say, no matter how they twist things. You stay calm, you answer clearly, and you let the facts speak. Ray picked up his coffee, drained it. The mug was cold now, bitter at the bottom. I've been calm my whole life, Marlon. I can do 40 more minutes. The courthouse steps were wet with April rain when Ray arrived. 9 in the morning, clouds breaking apart, patches of blue showing through. Sam walked beside him, Marlon ahead with the red accordion folder tucked under his arm. Grace waited at the top of the steps, holding an umbrella she didn't need anymore. Inside, the rotunda echoed, their footsteps on marble, voices bouncing off stone. Ray could smell floor wax and old paper and the coffee someone had spilled near the metal detectors. His hands were steady. He'd spent the last 2 weeks reviewing ledgers, memorizing transactions, drilling himself until the numbers came automatic as breathing. Courtroom 3B, wood paneling, high ceiling, windows letting in gray light. Judge Carver sat at the bench, mid-50s, reading glasses, a face that gave nothing away. Celeste was already there, sitting beside Gerald Voss, her lawyer. She didn't look at Ray when he came in. The bailiff called the case. In the matter of Hollister v. Hollister, conservatorship petition. Judge Carver looked up. Mr. Voss, you may proceed. Voss stood, buttoned his suit jacket. Your Honor, we're here because Mrs. Hollister has legitimate concerns about her husband's cognitive decline. He's 77 years old. 67, Marlon interrupted. Voss paused. I apologize. 67. But the point stands. He's exhibited memory lapses, confusion, erratic financial behavior. Dr. Paulson's assessment supports this. We have a medical power of attorney signed by Mr. Hollister, granting Mrs. Hollister authority to make healthcare and financial decisions. Your Honor, Marlon stood. That power of attorney is a forgery. We have expert analysis. Judge Carver held up a hand. I've read your filings, both of them. She looked at Ray. Mr. Hollister, please stand. Ray stood. How old are you? 67. How long have you been married to Celeste Hollister? 3 years, 4 in August. Do you remember signing a power of attorney granting her medical and financial authority? No, Your Honor. Have you ever had memory problems? No, ma'am. Judge Carver took off her glasses, set them on the bench. Mr. Hollister, I'm going to test that claim. Can you tell me what you did yesterday? Ray's voice was steady. Fed cattle at dawn, checked the fence line on the South 40, called First Bank at 9:15 to confirm my fraud report was still active, had lunch with my son, Sam, spent the afternoon reviewing my financial records with my attorney. What did you have for lunch? Ham sandwich? Sam had turkey. And 3 days ago? Tuesday, fed cattle, drove to the feed store, paid Luther Fenwick for the handshake credit from March, came home. Marlon and Grace came by at 2. We went over witness testimony. Judge Carver leaned forward. Mr. Hollister, can you tell me about your financial accounts without looking at notes? Ray nodded. Checking account at First Bank, opened in 1985, current balance $4,218. Savings account, same bank, opened 1987, balance $62,300. Equity line of credit against the property, opened 2018, original balance 0, current balance $180,000 in unauthorized withdrawals. When were those withdrawals made? September 14th, 2024, $60,000. October 9th, $60,000. November 3rd, $60,000. To whom? An LLC called Pierce Financial Advisors, registered agent Donovan Pierce, shell company, no legitimate business operations. The courtroom was silent. Celeste stared at the table. Judge Carver picked up a document. Mr. Hollister, your wife's attorney claims you've been forgetful, that you've left the stove on, forgotten important dates, repeated questions. Is any of that true? I left the stove on once, January 12th, the morning after I discovered the wire transfers. I was distracted. Ray's voice didn't waver. I haven't forgotten any dates. My wife's birthday is May 7th. Our anniversary is August 14th. My first wife, Margaret, died March 22nd, 2017. My son Sam's birthday is June 3rd. My grandson Ethan's birthday is November 19th. Judge Carver was writing. Mr. Hollister, can you recite your account activity for the last 18 months, or is that too much? Marlon stood. Your Honor, if I may. Sit down, Mr. Hollister. Judge Carver looked at Ray. Can you do it? Ray took a breath. Yes, ma'am. Then proceed. Ray closed his eyes for a moment, pulled up the ledgers he'd memorized. Then he opened them and started talking. September 2023. Cattle mineral from Luther's feed, $87. Fence staples, $34. Veterinary visit for calf vaccination, $212. First bank checking deposit, Social Security, $1,863. He kept going, month by month, transaction by transaction. Every purchase, every deposit, every check written. His voice was calm, methodical, the same tone he'd used for 40 years explaining loans to ranchers who needed help reading the fine print. October, November, December, into 2024, the wire transfers, the refinance he never authorized, Celeste's textbook purchases, her car lease payments, January, February, March, the fraud report, the account freeze, Luther's feed store payment. He spoke for 12 minutes, didn't pause, didn't stumble. When he finished, the courtroom was silent except for the rain starting again outside, soft against the windows. Judge Carver set down her pen. Mr. Voss, do you have any questions for Mr. Hollister? Voss stood slowly. Your Honor, this is clearly rehearsed. Is it inaccurate? I don't know, Your Honor. I'd need to check against the statements. Then I suggest you do that. Judge Carver looked at Marlon. Call your first witness. The forensic accountant went first. Confirmed the wire transfers, the shell company, the forged signature on the refinance. Then came the handwriting expert from Denver, testifying via video. 98% certainty of forgery. Different pen pressure, inconsistent stroke patterns. Not a professional forgery, but intentional. Celeste's face went pale. Grace testified next, described the developer offers, the attempted sale, Celeste's calls asking about listing the property without Ray's knowledge. She said he was thinking about moving somewhere warmer. I told her I needed to speak with him directly. She said he'd call. He never did. Then Luther. He walked to the stand with his green notebook, raised his right hand, swore to tell the truth. Marlon guided him through the timeline. November 3rd, you saw Mrs. Hollister's vehicle at the courthouse? Yes, sir. 2:14 p.m. Parked for 90 minutes. How do you know the time? Luther held up the notebook. I write things down. Habit. And December 8th? Saw her at Pinewood Coffee with a man, tall, Bluetooth headset. They were there over an hour. Looked intense. Did you recognize the man? No, sir, but I wrote down his license plate. Montana tags. Luther read the number from his notes. Marlin nodded. Thank you, Mr. Fenwick. Voss stood for cross-examination. Mr. Fenwick, isn't it true you and Mr. Hollister have a decades-long business relationship? 43 years. So you have a bias toward him. Luther's jaw set. I have a relationship with facts, son. I wrote down what I saw. If that helps Ray, good. But it's still what I saw. Voss sat down. Jody testified last. Described the overheard conversation, the email left in the printer, Celeste and Donovan planning the timeline. June graduation, July filing. She said he was too old and too tired to fight. And you kept this information? Marlin asked. For 3 weeks. I didn't know if it was my place. Jody's voice cracked. But Ray gave me a loan when every bank said no, $10,000, no collateral, just faith. So yeah, I kept it. Because he deserved to know. Judge Carver called a 15-minute recess. When they reconvened, she looked at Celeste. Mrs. Hollister, do you wish to testify? Celeste looked at Voss. He shook his head slightly. No, Your Honor. Judge Carver flipped through her notes. The courtroom was silent. Ray could hear his own heartbeat, the shuffle of papers, someone coughing in the back row. Finally, Judge Carver spoke. I've reviewed the evidence. The handwriting analysis is compelling. The forensic accounting is clear. The witness testimony is consistent and credible. She looked at Celeste. Mrs. Hollister, the power of attorney you submitted is a forgery. Your conservatorship petition is denied. Celeste's lawyer started to stand. Judge Carver held up a hand. Furthermore, I'm referring this matter to the county attorney for criminal investigation. Forgery, fraud, theft by deception. Mr. Hollister, your request for full separation is granted. Property division hearing will be scheduled separately, but given the circumstances, I'm issuing a preliminary order that all marital property remains with you pending resolution of the criminal charges. She looked at Ray. Mr. Hollister, you are one of the sharpest 77-year-olds I've ever met. 67, Your Honor. Right, 67. She almost smiled. You're free to go. Ray walked out of the courthouse into spring sunshine. The rain had stopped, clouds breaking apart, and the air smelled clean, wet concrete and fresh grass and something green pushing up through the mud. Sam was beside him, hand on his shoulder. Marlin and Grace followed, talking quietly. On the steps, Ray stopped. Looked back at the building, the limestone facade, the marble worn smooth by 100 years of people seeking justice or mercy or just an ending. His phone rang. Marlin, even though Marlin was standing 10 feet away, Ray looked at him, confused. Marlin held up his own phone. That's my office. Answer it. Ray answered. Marlin's paralegal, Rita. Mr. Hollister, the judge's clerk just called. Official ruling will be filed by end of day, but here's the summary. Conservatorship petition denied. Power of attorney voided. Divorce granted with full property retention for you. Mrs. Hollister has been ordered to repay the $180,000. Payment plan or bankruptcy are her options. And the county attorney is filing criminal charges. Forgery, fraud, theft. She's looking at 2 to 5 years if convicted. Ray thanked her, hung up, told the others. Sam let out a breath. It's over. The legal part, Marlin said. Recovery of funds, that's different. Donovan Pierce is gone. FBI's looking, but offshore accounts, shell companies. Ray, you might never see that money. Ray nodded. He'd known that for weeks. I've got the ranch. That's what matters. Grace hugged him. Margaret would be proud. She'd be embarrassed I got fooled in the first place. Maybe, but she'd be proud you fought back. They drove home in convoy, Ray and Sam in Ray's truck, Marlin and Grace following in the Subaru. When they pulled up to the ranch, the cattle were spread across the south pasture, grazing on new grass that had come up green and thick after the thaw. The sky was wide and blue, the kind of blue that only comes in late April when winter finally lets go. Sam's wife Lisa was there, sitting on the porch with Ethan. The boy was 8 now, long-legged and shy, with Margaret's eyes. He ran to Sam, and Sam scooped him up like he weighed nothing. Grandpa! Ethan squirmed free, ran to Ray. Ray caught him, held him tight. Hey, buddy. Dad said you won. I did. Does that mean we can visit more? Ray's throat closed. He looked at Sam, who nodded. Yeah, Ray said. It means you can visit whenever you want. The next morning, Ray woke at dawn out of habit, made coffee, pulled on his Carhartt, walked out to check the fence line. The air was warm, almost 60 degrees, and he could hear birds, robins, meadowlarks, the high trill of something he didn't recognize. Spring birds, back from wherever they went when winter hit. He walked the full perimeter, checked each post, each stretch of wire. When he got to the south gate, the one his grandfather installed in 1947, he stopped, pulled the WD-40 from his pocket, sprayed the hinge. The metal didn't fight this time. It opened smooth, easy, the squeak almost gone. Behind him, footsteps. He turned. Sam and Ethan, both in boots, walking the fence line the way Ray's father had taught Ray, the way Ray had tried to teach Sam before everything fell apart. "Thought you'd be sleeping in," Ray said. Ethan wanted to see the cattle. Sam stopped beside him. "And I wanted to see the gate. You always talked about it. Granddad's latch." Ray ran his hand over the iron, the ornate scrollwork his grandfather had forged himself. 1947, he was 23, built this whole ranch from nothing. Ethan reached up, touched the metal. "Can I help?" Ray looked at Sam, who nodded. "Sure." Ray handed Ethan the WD-40 can. "Spray it right there, on the hinge." Ethan sprayed, careful, tongue between his teeth in concentration. The oil ran down the metal, caught the light. "Now work it back and forth," Ray said. Ethan pushed the gate open, pulled it closed. Open, closed. The squeak faded, then disappeared. He grinned. "I fixed it." "You did." Ray's hand rested on the boy's shoulder. "Your great-great-grandfather put this in. Now you know how to take care of it." "Will it last forever?" "Nothing lasts forever," Ray said. "But if you take care of it, it'll last long enough." They stood there together, 3 generations, watching the cattle move across green grass under a blue sky. The gate hung open, waiting. Ray reached over, closed it. The latch clicked, solid and sure. Behind them, the house. Smoke rising from the chimney where Lisa had started a fire to take off the morning chill. The smell of coffee drifting out. Marlon's Subaru coming up the drive, red folder visible through the windshield. More paperwork, probably, loose ends to tie up, but that could wait. For now, Ray stood with his son and grandson, hand on iron his grandfather had shaped, watching spring come to land his family had held for 120 years. Celeste had tried to take it. She'd failed. The gate stayed closed. Now, I won't tell you Ray came out of this unscathed. A man doesn't weather a betrayal like that without some new scars. But scars, well, they're just proof you survived. Proof you were strong enough to heal. Ray learned 3 things that winter. 1. Silence isn't the same as weakness. A quiet man can be the most dangerous kind when you back him into a corner. 2. A man who knows his worth doesn't need to shout about it, he just needs to know where he stands. And 3. The strongest walls aren't built with anger. They're built with patience, precision, and a few good people who will hand you bricks when you need them. Celeste took a plea deal in June, pled guilty to forgery and fraud, got 3 years probation and a restitution order she'd be paying off until she was 70. Her MBA, well, she kept the degree, but it's hard to get hired in finance when you've got a fraud conviction. Last I heard, she was working retail in Billings, living in a studio apartment, driving a 12-year-old Honda. The ranch greened up that spring like it hadn't in years. Ray brought on Sam as a partner, started teaching Ethan the things his own father taught him, how to check fence, how to read cattle, how to know when a storm's coming by the way the wind shifts. First calves came in May, twins, both healthy. Ray named them Grace and Marlon. Jody's coffee shop survived. Turns out, small towns remember who showed up when it mattered. Her regulars rallied, brought friends, left tips that made her cry. She's still there on Main Street, still making the best cinnamon rolls in the county. And Ray? He's still walking fence line at dawn, still keeping ledgers in that neat, slanted hand, still oiling that gate latch his grandfather installed 78 years ago. Last time I saw him, Ethan was riding fence on an old mare named Margaret, the boy's learning quick, sitting tall in the saddle. And that gate latch still squeaks a little, just like it did in 1947. Some things, the good things, they last.